So tonight, the 3rd of May, 2021, I have 100 subscribers on YouTube. So I guess I should thank everybody. And I will not become a YouTube celebrity. It took me many years to get this many subscribers, but it's still nice to have. I still haven't done anything since 3 weeks ago when I did the open Transport Tycoon playthrough. But I'll have more things on the way. So this is my new experimental Linux gaming PC. And I'm going to do a few playthroughs with it. I haven't decided exactly what yet, other than Simutrans, because I had intended all along to do a playthrough of Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe in Linux of some kind, and I never really got around to it. But Simutrans is one of the derivatives, you could say, of Transport Tycoon that I haven't done yet, and it's also open source, and naturally there are a lot of good Linux versions of it, and this is the computer I'm going to use. This, like I said, I built it specifically for this, and I have actually had a few surprises along the way. One of the things I discovered is that the current version of Debian, which is what this is a little weak on sound support. And I literally have never had technical problems with Debian before. Debian, as everybody says, is pretty rock solid. And I was surprised that I had trouble with something so basic. My sense is that their main difficulty is in deciding which type of sound support to use. Because if we jump into the menu here and go to the sound and video section, Pulse Audio, in theory, is the default. You can see I've installed a whole bunch of stuff to be compatible with as much as possible. But ALSA is also very common, and there are certain programs that will only work with ALSA. For example, Audacity, which I use pretty regularly. So, yeah, I just basically crammed sound support downloads into Debian until I got it to work. And I unfortunately can't give you a good video about how to fix your Debian sound. I think this is something that the Debian Foundation have to take care of. If they're going to keep the two different sound systems, they at least need to make them, I think, a little bit more predictable and reliable. Overall, though, this computer runs great. It's faster than, I don't know, like the vast majority of computers I've ever used. In terms of gaming computers, anyway. And I really have no complaints about it. So I will now do at least one playthrough of Simutrans. I think Simutrans is a very interesting project, and I think that it's much tighter in terms of, I don't know, lack of sloppiness in packs and so on than Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe. With Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe, when you set it up, it's hard to really know what you're getting. And it also still is not as versatile in Simutrans in terms of how far back in time you can go, because Simutrans theoretically will go back to 1 AD, and you have a selection of vehicles from about 1400 or so, so it's really unlike any other transport strategy game in that way. Having said that, I'm not very good at it. So I decided I would look at both the version on Synaptic Package Manager, which is version 120, and the nightly build as of May 4th, 2021, which is basically version 122.0.1. That was how it was built. And I basically couldn't win it. I could win at version 120 in the year 1400. When I tried to play version 122.0.1 starting in 1836, it bankrupted me before I could even start making any money, because I didn't know that you can spend more money than you have in construction and end up bankrupt before you even start business. So I fell into, I guess, one of the many pitfalls people have with Simutrans. And I also tried 3 other times. So I did give it a serious try, but I'm just not good enough at this game. I think it's interesting to review it because I think that it was very innovative, and it must have inspired Transport Fever. I don't see how it could not have, because they model individual passengers, and you have to have customer satisfaction and so on. So it is very interesting in that way. But unfortunately, all I can really do is show you my one successful playthrough from game year 1400. And then unfortunately I have to call it quits, because there's no sense in me making you sit through a losing game and not learning anything from the experience or getting any entertainment value out of it. So I'll give a history of Simutrans, more or less, and give you the demonstration of the game. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you basically my skills, because I don't have too many Simutrans skills. It would not be fair to pretend that I did, I think. So this is the Wikipedia page for Simutrans, and it was developed by Hansjörg Malthaner. I've talked about this game a little bit in my videos on Transport Tycoon, because it is sort of a Transport Tycoon clone, but it's not strictly so. It is heavily inspired by it, but it's not an exact copy. One of the most significant differences is that individual passengers are simulated in much the way that was later the case with Transport Fever. So the original version of Simutrans was from 1997, but it wasn't released until 1999, and there's been a lot of work done on it. It is heavily reliant on so-called packs, which give you your content. So if you look at the Synoptic Package Manager, in this case in Debian Linux, you can see you have to download separate pieces. And just like Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe, there is an app within the game allowing you to download or adjust the pack that you're using. I don't think that these packs offered in the package manager are particularly good. And note also that this is an outdated version. 1.20 as opposed to 1.22, which is the current version from October of last year. We jump here, they say, well, the official version is only 1.21 for x64, which is still more up to date than what you can get on the package manager. But there are nightly builds too. So if you go to the nightly builds site, last nightly build was last night. So not at all old. And you can download the executable, or you can download the full package. That's what I did. I actually downloaded the stable version on the package manager, but there are some confusing things about it, though. We jump into the file manager. There's the pack, configuration files, fonts, music, another pack. But it isn't at all clear what you're supposed to do. Like, where do you load it? It's not actually in this folder. If we go back to apps, it's not there either. Now, if we go for applications, the old-fashioned full word applications, we do find a shortcut. Right there. I've actually opened the permissions for this so that it should easily run. But I just double-clicked it and nothing happened. Click it again. It worked that time. It doesn't always, but it took me 2 tries. You pick your pack. In this case, the original pack is actually better than the Britain pack. It has a lot fewer bugs in it. Britain pack, for example, will give you any vehicle in any era, which of course is not always what you want. Sometimes you want it to be realistic. And you pick your language. You'll find that it's an English version that's not a complete English version. It is actually German language with a bunch of English thrown in. The music's kind of too loud. But I'm going to quit this. I'm going to go back. New game. So if we look at the settings, as you may have seen on YouTube from other people, this can go back quite far in time. Go back to 1700, it'll do that. Go back to 1600, do that. Back to 1500, it'll do that. Go back to 1400. So basically in the Middle Ages, we try the game in the Middle Ages. We'll pause it. Very similar interface to Transport Tycoon, as I said. Okay. So, obviously in the Middle Ages, you don't have too many choices for transport. If you look at our road situation, the road situation has certainly got not good and might actually be better than it actually was in the Middle Ages. We have 2 villages there. That is not good news. It means I can only really run 1 passenger service. Let's try that. So I will open the road tools here, and we don't have too many choices. We can build a garage, which would really be a carriage house. Put it there. It'll let us do it. And then we'll put they call it a bus stop, but it's not really a bus stop. Some of the packs will let you do a coaching in. So if we can get all the potential customers here. And then we'll put another station over here. Another stop over here. And of course our only choice will be wagons. And now we'll build a wagon, but what's interesting is you need to get horses first. So they're listed under trucks, weirdly enough, equivalent to a tractor trailer or a tractor. So we have a carriage team, we have a pair of oxen, or we have 4 oxen. Notice that you can have these anytime from the year 1 to 1960. I guess maybe in the Third World you'd use them as far late as 1960. But you could literally have vehicles as far back as the year 1 in this game. We'll get a team of carriage horses there. And then we take a stagecoach, which is interestingly available exactly from 1400. All the wagons are. So really, for practical purposes, 1400 is the earliest you can start the game, the most part. So we'll get that. And now this is treated as a convoy. And we have to create a schedule. You can have lines or you can have individual schedules where you only have one vehicle, so we can only have one schedule. We add a stop. Move these windows around. Right there. And then the other one will be right here. And we're basically set. So I will... Oh, actually, there's one other thing. One other detail. Just like in Transport Tycoon, we have to start it. Otherwise, it's just going to sit in the carriage house. Let's see if I can rename the carriage house. Nope. Or maybe... Try that again. Doesn't seem to tell me very much. I guess it's not nameable. I'm a little bit surprised by that. Not in the way that it is in Transport Tycoon. So anyway, I have to restart the clock here. And the zoom works just fine here. I have some birds flying here. But in any case, that carriage should come out. Try starting him again. There we go. I thought I had started it. So the stagecoach goes over to Barrington. And just like in Transport Tycoon, you don't really get a whole lot of passengers. But notice they're modeled individually. That's definitely something that carried on to Transport Fever. So if we click on the stagecoach, it'll tell us what's aboard. Surprisingly, it has 6 passengers, so I guess they're not requiring you to run the line once first. And you have your income, and it's net income, of course. Follow? Yeah, this isn't quite like Transport Fever. You don't get to ride along, you just get to follow. And of course, there is fast forward. So let's just follow so we don't lose them. Fast forward. Slow them down again. There are already potential passengers milling around here. Now you can apparently name the service if you want to, even if you can't name the depot. I will refrain from that for now. Let's see if it makes any money. Most interesting question. It was in profit very briefly there. Now it's fully loaded with passengers. Fast forward again. And what do we have? Full load of passengers. And it's in profit. I guess that's maybe all I can show you for the original. So that's it. Unfortunately, I didn't do well enough on the nightly build to really show you anything. I generally don't like doing playthroughs unless I either win the game or can demonstrate something, and all I could really demonstrate if I showed you that would be how not to play Simutrans, and I wouldn't necessarily be able to give you good advice, because the same game strategy that works in Transport Tycoon and in Transport Fever doesn't necessarily work in Simutrans. And I haven't completely figured it out, and it would be a waste of your time. So, thanks for watching what I did show you, and this is really meant to be a conclusion to my Transport Tycoon series in the short term. I'll probably do some long plays in the future. And I'm thinking of doing some stuff about Transport Fever, because I keep mentioning Transport Fever, so that seems like something I should do. But in the meantime, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.